Hey guys, okay, today we're going to be doing a fluid and filter change on the CVT transmission on this 2007 Dodge Caliber today. This has a 2.4 liter engine. First thing we're going to do is remove this plastic shroud right here to better access the transmission pan. There's 4 tabs holding this on, one right here. Just pop the center out and then pop the tab out. One right here. And you've got one right here, a smaller one. Small one right here. Okay, so here's your fluid pan. Some fluid pans have a drain plug, either here or somewhere. So if you have a drain plug, use the drain plug. If you don't, you're going to want to remove the pan. So we're going to loosen all these bolts, or I'm not going to do that, but this is what you would do. Loosen all these bolts until you can crack this open and it'll start coming out. The liquid will start coming out, which is totally fine. If you have an oil pan underneath, it's all good. I'm replacing this oil pan with a new one because this one's kind of rusty, with one with a drain plug just to make future changes easier. And I just did a transmission replacement on this. So this is like the 1,500 kilometer, 1,000 kilometer, something like that, change just after that rebuild. So I'm actually gonna drill a hole right here and I'm gonna drain the fluid that way, but do not do that if you're just doing a standard fluid change here. I'm just doing it so it's a little bit more controlled where the liquid comes out so it's not going everywhere. Okay, now that's pretty well drained. I'm going to take all my 10 millimeter bolts out. Okay, so your strainer filter is located right here. It's held on with 3 10 millimeter bolts. 2 of them are short, one of them is long. Short one here, short one here, and this is going to be your longer one. The reason this one is longer is because it's one of the bolts that actually hold the valve body on. And notice there is an O-ring right here, so make sure you have an O-ring with your new one. Here's my new filter. Happens to be an ATP. This is a good kit. Comes with the O-ring, the strainer, and new gasket. And there's the part number right there if anyone's looking. Or you can just use the Mopar OEM one if you can still find it. Okay, so we got the O-ring on there. The O-ring and this round-shaped intake here goes onto this. I put a little bit of CVT fluid on the O-ring just so it slides in nice. Replace one of our short screws. Second short screw. And then our longer bolt. And we're going to torque these to 70 inch-pounds. Got a little brake cleaner here. Just going to clean the gasket surface. It's not a glue type gasket, so it's pretty forgiving. If you're not 100% clean, it'll take up the space and prevent leaks, but it's still always nice to get it as clean as you can. Okay, so I got my gasket on here. Try to get it onto the locating tabs. Like that. And then I can sort of see the gasket. And then I'm going to grab my bolts and just put them in one at a time, making sure that I am going through the pan and the gasket. I'm just going to get them all touching. Sort of a crisscross circular pattern. And then I'm going to torque down all the pan bolts to 70 inch-pounds as well. Okay, so I have all those torqued down to spec. Now the next filter we're going to replace, and arguably the more important one, because it's finer and it sees a pretty good amount of flow, is the oil cooler filter behind this sort of canister shaped thing here. So you can get to the 3 bolts from the top easier. I'll show you that in a minute. But see that 1 bolt right there? It's easier to get to from below. So we're going to take that one out first, and then we'll move up top. So it's 10 millimeters and a long extension, not too long, helps out. And you just need a small wrench because it's not a huge amount of torque on it. So we're just going to head up top there now, but I pried open the strainer here because I wanted to see what was going on. And that's the amount of debris from approximately 1,000 kilometers of driving after a full transmission overhaul rebuild. You've got little tiny just pieces of, I don't know, gasket, some very small metal particles, just some gasket material, like glue gasket material, which would be from the case going together. So it's definitely something you want to do soon after a rebuild. Go up under the hood here, just remove this air intake. Do need to remove the battery, 10 millimeter. Remove the negative first. There's a 13 millimeter bolt down here holding the battery in place. There's a little plastic block. Remove that. The block. We need to remove this battery holder. There's bolts here as well. Oil cooler right there. So we're going to remove these 2 bolts and then the one down there. 10 millimeter. Okay, once you got those bolts removed, you can move this out of the way and sort of down. And notice the O-ring here. You're going to want to replace that. So don't lose that. And then the filter is actually in here. So you got to grab onto it. It's got a little gasket on it. I'll show you. Okay, notice I pulled it out and there's no gasket on it. You got to make sure the gasket comes with it. That means the gasket's still in there. So I'll grab that. Oh, there it is. So I'll show you with the new one, but that would have sat in there. And then that pushes over top of the tube, sort of little short tube that sticks out. So you got to make sure that gets on there. And there's your filter. Okay, so here's the new filter. This is where it gets tricky because this little filter doesn't come in that kit that I showed you earlier. You have to get it separately, so that's why a lot of people don't end up replacing this one. But there's the part there. I believe you can still get it from Mopar, but this ATP one is good. There's the new one, comes with the gasket. And you'll know it's in because it sits flush with this face here. I put a new O-ring on, and now we're just going to bring our housing back. Get a bolt. Make sure your O-ring hasn't moved. Yeah, I would say overall underneath is easier. I forgot when I did this last time, the hoses weren't on yet because I rebuilt the transmission. So with the hoses on and in the way, it's easier to get it from down here. You put it on by hand, and then you're going to need to use a swivel. I'm going to use a swivel end when I torque it down. All right, torque spec on these is 37 inch-pounds. Three foot-pounds. Okay, we'll put our battery box back in. Battery clamp. Tells you what to use. Chrysler CVT fluid, CVT F+4. I'm using an equivalent. I'll check. So according to the manual, if you replace the filters only, didn't do an overhaul or whatever, 7 liters goes back in. But the safest thing to do, and what I try to do, is if the vehicle wasn't leaking before or there wasn't any issues like that, you put in the exact amount of fluid that you took out. We're still going to check it, but that's the safest thing to do. That way you don't overfill it. You definitely don't want to overfill it. And then you're right back to where you started. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so before I start it up here, I'm just going to explain to you guys what's going on, the way we check the level. So you're going to have to get yourself a dipstick because, as some of you may notice, it doesn't come with one. It only has a cap. So you need a dipstick to check it. You can use like an engine oil dipstick if you have one from like your truck or something that's long enough. I have used a wire before, you can do that, but you need to be able to measure in millimeters. This one's nice, it's super cheap, it's like 15 bucks. It has graduation marks on it, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way up to 120 millimeters, and I think, no, it's just in millimeters, this one. It doesn't matter, the chart is in millimeters. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the vehicle, and we're gonna cycle it through the gears. So start it up, park, neutral, reverse, drive, all that a couple of times, get the fluid flowing through the transmission. And then I'm gonna have the computer hooked to it. You can, again, just use a cheap computer. You just need to know what the temperature of the transmission is. So let it warm up for a couple of minutes because you need to take the reading once it's at operating temperature, or use the chart to know where you're at. So this is the chart. You guys wanna maybe screenshot that if you need it. It's handy. So based on the temperature of the transmission, this is the fluid level that you should have. But at the end of the day, so at the factory at 75 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it's between the two arrows there. So on the dipstick, you want to see about 20, I want to say 25 to about 37 millimeters of fluid level. Okay, so we're gonna go start the car. Okay, so I'm just in the car here with the vehicle in the on position, haven't started it yet, but I got my diagnostic tool. If you do have one like this, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I just got a couple of ones selected. I got primary pulley speed, secondary pulley speed, primary pulley oil pressure, that one's important, secondary pulley oil pressure. You want these oil pressures to go up, obviously, when you start the vehicle. And then ATF temperature is the important one for checking the fluid level. So I'm gonna start the car here. And you can see our pulley pressure is going up. I'll switch it to PSI. So if you look there, this is good. We got 294 PSI on the primary, which is pretty normal. 311, 307 secondary. So it means the pump's working, which is good. It means the pump has obviously picked up the oil and is circling it through. And then we got, well, I'll change it to Fahrenheit here because most of the people watching this are probably looking at it in Fahrenheit. So right now we're at 55.4 and we can't really check it till we're, I think, at 70, whatever that chart said there. So right now what I'm going to do though is I'm going to go through the gears to get it flowing through the whole system. So I just got my foot on the brake. We're just going to go reverse for a minute, or a couple seconds, then neutral, then drive. You can see your pressure's changing. Pressure drops when you're in drive, and it obviously varies when you're driving. Neutral, reverse, and then park, and we'll let it just sit in park for a sec. Okay, now I'm gonna go, I think I might have lost you there, but I'm gonna go put this in the engine bay and then just monitor the temperature, and then once we get up to that, the right operating temperature, that we can read it on the graph, we'll check the levels. Okay, I got you positioned so you can hopefully see everything there. So we're at 71.6. Okay, so we're at 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and I don't know if you can see that. We're at 36 millimeters, which is good. So I mean, it's looking good. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take it for a drive down the road. I don't know, maybe 5 kilometers, something like that. And then I'll bring it back and I'll do the same test again. Obviously the temperature will have warmed up. It'll be flowing through the transmission a lot better. And I will check it again based on the graph. If I have to add a little bit, I will, but that's looking really good. I'm just gonna put that shroud back on the bottom there, put this air dam or air intake back on, and then you're pretty well good to go. Check for leaks. I've got cardboard on the floor right now. I always put a fresh piece of cardboard down after I do this, make sure there's no leaks. So monitor for leaks. Check it after a couple days. It's just the smart thing to do. And if you guys got any questions, just leave them in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching.